Afternoon, Pete, North Las Vegas. I got a new project I'm going to be working up here, and we're going to be using this A2 upper receiver. And this is Harrington Richardson, got it through Palmetto State Armory. I got mine with the M4 feed ramp cuts, and I'll kind of explain that for a minute, why I chose that. The original A2 uppers did not come with M4 feed ramps. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the difference between M4 relief cut receivers for M4 style barrel extensions, on the M4 style cuts, you get these relief cuts on the receiver right here. And on a rifle cut receiver, you don't get those relief cuts. They just won't be machined there. And this was an improvement when they came out with the M4, M4A1. To provide more reliable feeding, especially with the heavier type 8.55 and some of the other types of ammunition that were being used. But the original A2 rifle did not have these cuts. And I got a picture I can show you that explains the different combinations and what you can and can't do. Okay, so on the left, rifle. On the right, M4. Down here you have a rifle extension on the barrel with M4 cut receiver, and that's not good. And then over here you have the M4 extension with the rifle receiver, which is okay. And the reason this is bad is this area here on the barrel will more often than not overhang the cut. And as your round comes up, it gets hung up on the edge of the extension when you go with this combination. So rifle extension, M4 receiver, not good. So the primary reason I chose the M4 cut upper receiver, even though it's not correct for an A2, is just about every barrel manufacturer now is providing barrels with the M4 cut extensions. So just to give myself more options as far as barrels, and yeah, that's the primary reason. One of my favorite barrel manufacturers is Criterion, and I'm pretty sure, I haven't really took a hard look at their site, but I'm pretty sure all the barrels that they offer with M4 cut extensions. So anyway, a little bit of a deviation from the standard A2 upper receiver for rifle. Okay, so I'm not going to try to blueprint this receiver, but we're going to do some basic checks just to make sure everything's okay. The bore spec on ARs is 1 inch plus 2/1000. Now that's not plus or minus. Your minimum spec is 1 inch and then plus 2/1000 to be in spec. So I measured this H&R right in the middle on the front here. You can see where we're at there is at 1 plus 1/1000. So this thing is right in the middle of spec. So let's measure the back end and see if we get the same. Okay, so on the back of the receiver, it measured exactly the same. Came in at 1 inch plus 1/1000. So right on the money, right in the middle of specs. Okay, so we know that both ends are machined very well. I'm pretty sure Palmetto State Armory is machining these for H&R. I know they're doing the lowers for them. I'm not sure about the upper, but I'm pretty sure Palmetto's machining the uppers for them also. Okay, so let's see what's going on with the rest of the receiver. So right now I'm measuring my Midwest Industries upper receiver rod, and you can see it comes in just under an inch. Comes in at about 0.998, 0.999. So this should slide in to the receiver pretty well. And I've measured it in different spots. This thing is very well machined. It's pretty accurate everywhere. Now I don't know how good the relationship is between the sail up here for the charging handle slot area and the BCG gas key slot. but the rod itself is very, very close tolerance. So we'll slide this into the receiver and see what we get. Okay, so the upper receiver rod slides in very nice. It starts to get a little bit snug right here. Not real bad, but just a little bit. And what I noticed was with just finger pressure right here and here, if I spread these with finger pressure, it slides in really nice. So there's a very, very, very slight pinch in this area here. But it's not bad at all. I mean, it still slides freely. It just, you get a little bit more resistance about the time you get right about there. Okay, well, let's get some close-ups here, and we'll take a really close look and nitpick this thing. And I've already kind of looked it over off camera. Found a couple spots that are just ever so slightly wonky. But overall, this thing is immaculate as far as finish goes. Just the cosmetics and looking at it, I got to give this thing an A. So anyway, there's one spot right there, and that's not a smudge. That's like something going on with the, let me see if I can get a real good close-up. Focus. That spot right there. I drug my fingernail across it. You can see it, but I can't feel it. So it's got to be less than 2 thousandths. But that little, like I said, we're being really nitpicky here. Okay, so on the back here, you might be able to see with the eye, I'm trying to hold it steady enough, the wall thickness where the bottom of your charging handle would sit on the left appears to be just a little bit thicker than on the right here. And maybe that's the way they're supposed to be. I don't think so, but I can measure that, but you can see it with the eye. Like I said, that to me is very, very minor, nothing to be worried about. So let's take a look at the back here, the lug area. I mean, no dings, no scratches so far, other than that first one we pointed out. So on the right side of the handle, this area here is really nice. This is the left side. I got this thing upside down. You can see the radius here, and they get a little bit wonky right in there. Then they get themselves straightened out again by the time they get to the end. And like I said, I know I'm repeating myself, but we're being really picky here. If you were looking at this thing from 5 feet away, you would never notice any of this. So I recently did a Colt HBAR clone build using the same exact receiver. And one of the things H&R does is they leave this little bit of flashing mark here. Now they smooth it out. They just don't get it completely smoothed out and flush. And Mike from Nodex Spud actually left a comment on that video saying that this was kind of a business decision to kind of keep costs down, because getting this completely flush and machine flat, it's more of a manual process, and it's very time consuming. So they just decided that they weren't going to try to get that to perfection. And like I said, you can see where it's been machined and smoothed down. It's just not perfectly flush. And then on the inside, they left the casting a little more raw. So this is the Colt HBAR clone that I recently did. And I used a Criterion heavy barrel. And this is the same H&R receiver. And this turned out so well for me, and that's, I was just really surprised with the tolerances and how everything worked out. I did a separate build video series, so I'm not going to cover everything on this rifle. But between trajectory arms, getting this front sight base onto the barrel for me up in Utah, and the H&R upper receiver, here's where my windage adjustment ended up when I was test firing it. Yeah, perfect. And I think I went down one turn from fully flush on the front sight for elevation. So the upper on this rifle really turned out nice. I got the A2 sight assembly from Fulton Armory, and this thing has like almost no slop in it at all. I mean, I can't hardly twist it at all. And sometimes this area here can be pretty bad where you can really crank this thing one way or the other, but this is very stiff. I mean, it's like a perfect fit. But anyway, we'll kind of get into that more when I get going on this new build. But I just wanted to share that, you know, that this turned out very tight tolerance. So my stripped lower should be here Monday or Tuesday. And I ordered the standard M16A2 stripped lower receiver, which says property of U.S. government up here. This is what's called the COTS, the commercial off-the-shelf version. And it was a program started by the defense industry, and I talked about this during a build series, that allowed the military to procure things a lot quicker and not have to jump through a bunch of hoops and red tape. So there were certain groups in the military that weren't happy with the burst function on the M16A2. So part of the COTS program back then was to allow them to still retain full auto. And that's how this is marked. And there's some discussion about how these COTS ended up with special forces for other countries. And that was kind of part of the reason why they didn't want property of U.S. government on here. I don't know if I buy into that, but when I get the new stripped receiver, we'll go over the marking differences and talk some more about the COTS program and the standard receiver. Okay, well, hopefully if this sounds like something you might be interested in, stick around. Another build series. Pete, North Las Vegas, over and out.